Welcome to Cubelic in the morning. It is Monday, January 12th, 7 a.m. right here on Jock. Game is set. Indiana smashes Oregon Friday night in the Peach Bowl. We discussed it Friday on the show, and some of the confidence was growing. I don't know if a lot of people thought that it would go to the extent that it actually did. D'Angelo Pond's pick six on the first offensive snap of the game. Actually, the Indiana offense doesn't see the field until 7:22 left in the first quarter because of that. Oregon did have a nice response, but then not near enough to be able to challenge Indiana for the rest of that game. Maybe, Greg, the most impressive part of the game was the Indiana faithful in the building. I would say the game was the Indiana faithful in the building. I would say easily 80-20. It felt like an actual home game because you had the one pocket of Oregon fans over in the corner. Maybe got a few more tickets than some people would expect if it was an actual Indiana home game. Bled over a little bit into the Indiana section, but the Indiana faithful were loud. I mean, the noise affected Oregon a couple of times in that game. It was an impressive showing from them, an impressive showing from the Indiana football team. It wasn't overly dominant in any facet. I mean, Mendoza had a great game, 5 touchdowns, but he had 177 yards. It was a complete team effort and complete team domination.
It was. And a lot of people keep talking about the turnovers. Yes, turnovers for sure helped play a role. But the amazing thing about Indiana is that's what they do. Like they force turnovers, they force mistakes, they make you uncomfortable. Like the first play of the game, that's just a horrendous decision to throw. But they don't just knock the ball away.
Well, hold on, take us through that play through your eyes, because now there's a couple of mindsets that are out there. I had this conversation yesterday with a group of guys that we were talking about this game. He said, "Well, yeah, but Oregon turned it over a couple of times," and I said, "Okay, cool, you're in that camp." And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, there's people who believe that turnovers are accidents, and there's people who believe turnovers are forced."
Yeah,
and you obviously believe turnovers are accidents. I said, I think turnovers are forced. That's why they're called takeaways. Now, and that's not every single one.
Yeah, about to say some are forced.
When you're plus 18 on the season, it's probably not a lot of teams that just slip up against you for the entire year. So then there's the second mindset that I actually want to spend a lot of time on in the show that I think is absolutely pathetic. And it is that, there's two mindsets on Indiana now that are sad that the college football casuals are running with, and some are actually should be considered more than casuals because they cover the sport. One, Indiana's cheating. They're on your frequencies. They've hired Connor Stallions. They've got these radio waves that they can find a way to hack into.
Oh yeah, 5
interceptions on the first series of games this year, first play of the game this year. But okay, y'all believe that if you want to, but nonetheless, I want to know what you saw in that specific play through a quarterback lens.
Yeah, it's tight. Condensed formation. You try to throw an out route against outside leverage, squat corner with eyes in the backfield the whole way, and you miss it inside.
So they weren't on their frequency.
No,
I think.
I mean, it's pretty simple. Condensed formation. And if you like D'Angelo Pons, the guy that intercepted the pass, is really, really smart when it comes to reading the splits. If you have a split that's a little bit inside tight, guess what? You're probably running an out-breaking route. If you have a split that's outside the numbers, 2 or 3 yards outside the numbers, guess what? Because you don't have a lot of room to the boundary, to the sideline, you probably break an in-breaking route. This ain't hard. If you're wide, you break in. You're tight, you break out. Well, he was tight. He broke out. And it was pretty obvious they were going to go with some like quick game stuff just to get their quarterback comfortable. Their quarterback has already talked already. He's very open about going to a psychiatrist first and foremost. Secondly, the importance of getting him into a good spot and I made the game too big and all this other stuff. Like he was talking about that. So what do you think they're going to do? Yeah, probably going to go with some type of quick game, try to get him comfortable, get him a completion early into the boundary. It's just a bad decision and even worse throw because he missed inside. You miss outside. All right. It's 2nd and 10. You miss inside. You bring the defender into the play.
House call.
See ya. Bye.
It's funny that people think that because something has happened, like I guess you're probably in separate camps here too. if something has happened
Who's in
multiple
different?
times,
You keep saying I'm in separate camps. What do you? I think we're on the
not
same page.
you individually.
Oh, you said
folks
you.
out there.
Oh,
I'm talking to the masses here. I'm talking to the people.
gotcha.
We're actually on air. It's a radio show.
The royal
I understand
view.
that, but he said a second ago. He goes, "You obviously feel like
folks are.
they're mistakes."
It's the same thing here. Same thing if you think that turnovers are accidents or forced.
Yeah,
If something has happened on a consistent basis,
yeah,
there with this situation, like the people that are pointing to the fact that on 5 opening drives this year, Indiana has an interception. And it's funny how some people will take that and they'll immediately run into, well, the level of probability is low, therefore it's accidental, it's cheating. Whereas I think my mindset would be if you continue to do something on a regular basis, it's probably because you're good at that, or you work on that, or you study that, or you have more emphasis on that. And some of these like low-hanging fruit, easy way out excuses and discussion points around this Indiana team, I'm going to be honest with you, it's frustrating to me. Now all of a sudden this is one I was going to bring up later, but we can get into it now. The average age is 23 years old or whatever. And then people are legit mad at this. You didn't have the option to go do this?
Is it within the confines of the rules?
Apparently not anymore.
By the way, their punter's 28, so that one outlier is going to skew the age a little bit.
But that's boys against men when you're trying to land it inside the 20.
I'm sorry,
when
recruit
you're
men.
trying to corner coffin it, it helps to be 28, Greg.
Yeah, and guess what?
How many tackles does he have this year?
You know how old their punter's going to be next year?
29.
Their punter is the 4th oldest player in college football, and he's graduating. He's done. Monday will be his last game. There are 3 players older than their punter in college football right now. Guess who their punter is next year?
35-year-old.
One of those 3 players. He'll be 30 next fall. How good?
Also legal.
100%.
But apparently other teams don't have the ability to go do that. Only Indiana can have old players. I mean, we did this with Auburn basketball last year, right? And people tried to turn it into a negative. Like other people are not able to do this. Rick Pitino told y'all, I'm not recruiting high school kids anymore. I can go get almost grown men that have played 17,000 minutes of college basketball.
Yes.
There are inherent advantages to doing this. And if you can't go sign all the 5 stars, why would you not go try to do this? So we'll get into all of those. But nonetheless, the execution offensively, I mentioned it, Greg. Mendoza wasn't asked to do a lot, 17 of 20. And he put multiple footballs exactly where they needed to be for his wide receivers. And I'm hoping that some people that watched a lot of Indiana now realize too, like he's got some guys that are really good helping him.
No question.
Elijah Surratt may have the strongest hands of any receiver in college football. Charlie Baker can go attack the ball, an excellent wide receiver. We've known Omar Cooper's name, or at least you should. He's made big catches all year. Also love the fact that 7 different players caught balls. He didn't have to lock in on one dude. Also, we mentioned this with Indiana, like this maybe where some teams are going now. When you don't have to overemphasize one guy, and one guy doesn't have to be great in order for your team to succeed, man, that helps a little bit. When it's not just quarterback run, or just one guy catching 11 balls, or just running the football 50 times, like balance helps a little bit. So it was an impressive performance. I don't know exactly what part of it stuck out for you. 11 of 14 on 3rd down for Indiana. Rush for 185 yards on 40 carries, 2 rushing touchdowns, just pure dominance, man.
That is what stood out to me. Everyone talking about these turnovers, all these they made mistakes. All this, okay, good with all of that. They still went 11 of 14 on 3rd down. You could have punted it inside the 5, and you weren't stopping them. It wasn't going to happen. Like, how many big plays did they create? How many times did Mendoza put it exactly where it's supposed to be? I mean, there was a back shoulder throw down the left sideline that got flagged for, like, excessive pass interference. Like, it was not just pass interference. It was pass interference plus. The guy still caught the ball. Like, I mean, how do you tackle a guy and yet it didn't make a difference? Like, the guy, I'm telling you guys, and I tried to say this last week in the nicest way possible. If you're comparing Fernando Mendoza to Dante Moore right now, I said this on Get Up, said it on here. It's not close. This whole notion of like Dante Moore could be the number 1 pick. No. I wish he was. So Mendoza would be on the Jets. I would love that. You know, I might start pushing that narrative, pushing that propaganda, because it's not close. Mendoza is probably the best college quarterback I've seen since Joe Burrow. And people are going to say, whoa. Caleb Williams was incredible. He was great. Like, seriously, like really, really good. Bryce Young, amazing playmaker, like great college football player. Think of the other guys that have now come up in the last handful of years that have been incredible. So many of them. Quarterback, we've had a nice run on quarterbacks the last few years. I'm telling you, Mendoza's that level of efficient. And it helps to have a run game like he has. Helps to have a defense like he has. But as far as like ball placement and like big throws, far sideline throws, dude, he's throwing 15-yard out routes from the opposite hash like it's nothing. Like we didn't even show a replay of it because it was so routine. Like, that was like...
Was it Baker that caught like the 1 3rd and 8 deep out and it was right on the sideline?
You're talking about going like, right to left on the left hash, throwing an out route.
You're on the other side of me, so it would have been left to right for you. We were on the Oregon sideline. Is that where you called from? The Oregon sideline?
No, we called it from
TV's on the other side.
We called it from the Indiana sideline.
It was going from your left to right. Then it would have been right around midfield, maybe a little bit just more to the right of the 50. And I think it was opposite hash. It literally looked like it went through the DB's hand. It was a high outside throw, and it was an out route just for enough first down yards, I believe. And it was, I mean, I sat there and rewound it on my iPad like 5 times. Like, how? Oh, I know. I can show it to you because I think I tweeted it out. He let the ball go before Baker was even out of his break.
Yeah.
And it was that accurate of a throw.
Yeah.
I mean, just exactly where it needed to be. It was unbelievable.
It's insane. The one that stood out to me, because all the back shoulders are stupid. The deep ball to Becker for, I think, the 3rd touchdown was ridiculous. Yep. Like, how early he threw the stick nod to EJ Williams was like, you're not covering that. Like, it's like you run a double move against all out pressure, and still you have enough like loft and trajectory on it to allow him to finish his route. He throws it before he even finishes the final stem, and Williams goes and reaches and grabs it. But there was a throw that I think it was to Surratt. And I don't remember exactly when it was in the game. I feel like it was 3rd quarter. I think it was going right to left. And it was it might have been the first drive of the second half. It was a 15-yard out, like comeback out, circus 7, like 15 to 18 yards, far hash. I think he probably threw it on about his 38-yard line to probably about the plus 48 to the other side of the 50. And I mean, the ball has to be in the air 45 yards, maybe more. I mean, I don't even know how far. And it's right on the face mask before the guy's out of the break. I'm like, you can't cover that. Put Darrelle Revis out there. He's not covering that. This kid's going to be like next level. I think. I mean, granted, I think a lot of it has to do with his poise. A lot of it has to do with the fact he's played a lot of football. He started a lot of games. But his level of efficiency is ridiculous. And then you get into scrambles. You get him in 3rd and 8. It's like, oh, heck yeah, we got him. Then he scrambles around the left side.
Yeah, he moves better than people give him credit for.
And he's bigger than you realize.
It's the first thing I noticed after the game on the field when we were walking up trying to do some interviews. And he walked past us. I was like, that dude is much better put together than I imagined.
His
calves
legs
are massive.
Are big.
Yeah, he's a pretty big boy.
He's built like an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would get up next to Fernando Mendoza and say, did not see that coming. Didn't expect that. Because I don't even know what he's listed at, but he looked like he's about a legit 6'4" plus.
He's listed about at 6'5", 225. I would say he's 6'4" and a quarter. And every bit of 225.
No, all of it. Yeah. It was, and I say Surratt had about 3 catches that because of where the coverage was and what the coverage was doing and the strength of his hands, he had no business catching.
I don't know how
he just takes the ball away.
I don't know if he'll run better than a 4.6 40. I don't even care. Doesn't matter.
He'll catch the ball. He'll be open.
Yeah, he will be a number 3 wide receiver in the NFL for a decade and change and be really dang good. And we're going to fast forward to the end of his career. It's going to look like Brandon Cooks, who's a completely different style of player. Cooks is a burner. This guy's a possession guy. But we're going to be like, oh my gosh, Brandon Cooks just caught a pass from Josh Allen on the biggest drive of the season. And we're going to say that about Surratt in 2038 and be like, he's still playing? And he's just, and we're going to fast forward. He's going to have 9,000 career yards and, fringe Hall of Famer with his stats because he's going to play forever. He's going to be solid as can be, assuming he doesn't have some type of hiccup from an injury standpoint.
All right, spots. Some former Auburn players have homes. What are Auburn and Alabama bringing in from the transfer portal? Some SEC schools doing some heavy lifting weekend. Oregon getting bludgeoned in the portal now that their season is finished. A little bit of hoops a little bit later with Richard Hendricks as we continue discussing college football playoff semifinals and which is now set. We'll do that right after this on Jocks. (56-22). Indiana knocks off Oregon in the Peach Bowl. Dominant performance, which has now brought up a couple different things, which are, in my opinion, completely conversation. Part of the show, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Quickly, a couple of notes from former Alabama players over the weekend. Isaiah Horton, wide receiver, has committed to Texas A&M. Also, Texas A&M grabs former NC State running back Hollywood Smothers, who had been committed to Alabama. We were excited about that get, Greg. Thought it was a good get, and now he flips, and he'll be an Aggie out at Texas A&M.
Wait, Smothers going to A&M? I thought he was going to Texas.
Texas, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, whoa, hang on. A&M pulled a quick one on not just us, but on the Longhorns. Go Aggies.
Texas grabs Auburn wide receiver Cam Coleman, and Alabama commit Hollywood Smothers, who played college football at NC State.
Yeah.
So a very weird weekend in the portal. A couple of guys that we've wondered where they were going to end up. But now we know not the news that Alabama fans wanted was Smothers decommitting and heading out to Texas.
No, that one hurts. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna try to sit here and spin it or any of that stuff, man. It hurts. Like, no doubt about it. But right now, with the way things are, Texas, you cannot beat them. If it becomes about dollars and cents, you cannot beat them. So
I don't know. I had a conversation with Mark Cuban before the game. Indiana might be able to.
I mean, Cuban's got funds for sure. And
he told us, he said he went to the AD and he said, "What's the largest donation anybody's made?" When he finally made the decision, all right, I'm going to get in on this. And before he answered, Cuban said, "Because I'll double it." Didn't know what it was.
He ain't scared. I talked to him before the game. Dad worked for him for a long time, and when they helped build the American Airlines Centers, I've known him for 20 years now. Almost. Met him in 1999 when he bought the Mass Pro. So I've known him for a long, long time. And he was like, this is the greatest thing. The Mavs run in 06 and the Mavs run in 11 was incredible. Like, winning the chance. This is close to that for me. I was like, what? What? No, you can't say that. Nothing we can do because Cuban will go.
Wild to think about. All right, he joins us each and every Monday at this time. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks from ESPN DC Network. It's Paul Finebaum.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it. Yeah.
The big no.
Paul, with you, that began to they're cheating. They're too old in college. Now complaining about
No. Do not sure. Even though program that an unlimited budget and really create an all-star team that would upset people, but we're still talking about somebody that two or 3 years ago nobody wanted. Kurt Signetti. Now we all know the resume, and obviously some of us, especially people I'm talking to right now, knew it even better than most. But anybody could have had him. He had the foresight. He understood what he wanted to do. He developed it, and then he was able to get people like you just said, Mark Cuban and others, to contribute. That's everybody else's problem. It's not Indiana's problem.
Paul, I'm also interested in your thoughts on some of the noise now generating about the playoff expansion, and maybe not only to 16 but beyond. How real and how soon could this be happening?
Well, I mean, I think we have a real situation here where the commissioners of the two biggest conferences have to come to an accommodation. And I talked to Greg Sankey the other day, and he somewhat snickered about all the conversation that he and Tony Petitti were at odds. He said they talk all the time. So I suspect between now and next week or the week after, whenever the final date is, they'll find some happy ground. And I think the one thing that the SEC doesn't want to agree to is, to agree for Petitti to say, yes, I'll go along with the 16-team playoff next year. You need to go along down the road to the 24. I'm not sure I really even know how to comprehend that. One thing I think is pretty obvious, and this has been obvious now for 5 or 6 weeks, is that don't buy your SEC championship tickets too far in the future, because it's a pretty good bet. This game and all the other games are about to go by the wayside.
Speaking of Tony Petitti, I'm not sure how much digging you've done into this DeMond Williams situation, but Paul, some documents being released on his contract and some of the wording, and then it's also coming out that the Big Ten was, I guess, overseeing, either assisting, helping with some of the wording in this conversation. Tony Petitti being mentioned by name as someone who had overlooked some of these contracts. Now, this could go a couple ways. One, other Big Ten schools, are you helping them? Two, if not, other conferences, your conference administration is looking into individual contracts from certain schools. Maybe I'm off base here. What are your thoughts on that involvement?
Well, that seems really bad and really odd. The conferences have always, this is for the life of history, advised, but that's from a 38,000 feet elevation, not to get in the middle of the weeds. But Cole, I don't know the answer, but it would be a very bad look. But quite frankly, Tony Petitti has been, other than his league, on the verge of winning yet another national championship. A lot of the off the field things have gone against him badly over the last year or so. He has rarely done anything right.
A lot of people are saying that Tony Petitti's trying to push as many as 24 teams in the college football playoff. And that to me feels ridiculous. Where do you think this will ultimately land, Paul? And could you see a scenario in which it expands beyond 16 for 2026?
Well, I think what you're going to see is if there's any compromise at all, we'll get 16 next year, and then the Petitti plan will go into effect later on. I don't know how you manage 24. Even with 16, you put the conference championship games in jeopardy. And listen, we've all been to all these games, and it just seems like we're close to the max point right now. It's a really good field. The games have been fun. But how many more schools do you need to let in? And I'll just ask both of you right now. We had 12 this year. Can you come up with enough 12 more schools that really have any business being in the field?
12 more, absolutely not. Not even debatable. A couple more, 1, 3 more, I'm sure, but no, not 12 more. I mean, do I think Vanderbilt, Texas, Notre Dame, BYU maybe could have had some fun in this tournament depending on the draw, but 12 more? No.
No. It doesn't make any sense. And again, for all the criticism I've had of the way the current system is, I mean, I watched that game Saturday where you had an NFL team with a losing record hosting a really good team. That should not happen. But that's a rarity in the NFL and college football. We're going to get into that a lot more if we add 2 more, 4 more, or 12 more.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us every Monday, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. I'm interested after Friday night or Thursday night. Excuse me. We haven't talked to you since Ole Miss went out of this playoff. Another strong showing by a Pete Golding-led football team. What do you now envision for the future from Pete Golding and maybe his tenure as the Ole Miss head football coach?
Well, I think he's off to really an extraordinary start, and it's not so much even what we saw in the field, which was really, really amazing when you consider the amount of time. It's just a commitment to him from that fan base, and you guys have been around this fan base lately. And forget the former coach. I mean, they are all in on this guy, and that's not easy to do when you get named the interim. I remember when Matt Luke was elevated. It was okay. I mean, there was a little bit of enthusiasm, but there was also mostly he won't be here in 2 or 3 years, and people were right. I'm not really hearing that about Pete Golding. He handled himself so well leading up to it, during the game, and quite frankly, I think they're in very good shape. I think there's a lot of momentum there, and there's no way that if we had convened 6 weeks ago, you could have predicted that.
Paul, when you look at kind of where things are with the portal, a lot of frustration, I think, from the vantage point of Alabama, knowing that they have a guy locked down, feels like it's in good shape, and all of a sudden Texas brings, backs up the truck, and they go and get 2 guys that were big targets for Alabama. What can be done about this? What can Alabama do to I guess, avoid similar situations in the future? How do you think this should be handled?
Well, I think right now it's very safe to say that Alabama is at a tipping point. It was a dreadful weekend, and you guys hear the same thing that we all hear, and everybody listening to the show has heard, and it's hard to accept that Alabama is being outmaneuvered and outspent. It's not a shock about them being outspent, but the one thing Alabama needed was a running back, and when Hollywood flew west yesterday, it really crushed a lot of people. And I think the real problem for Alabama is what can be done about it, because you now have a coach who who suffered the worst loss in modern Alabama history, and he's going to have to galvanize people and inspire people to dig deep and to try to rectify the situation. And I'm not really sure how he's going to do it. Another flash text or email from Greg Byrne is not going to be the answer. Alabama fans have heard that clarion call enough times, and they're tired of being told you have to dig deeper. And I know you asked me to answer a question. The problem is there is not an easy answer to this question, and that does not portend well for Alabama.
Is the answer private equity?
It could be because that's one way around it. Because Alabama, under the current structure, Greg, as you know, I think is going not. It's certainly not going to progress. I'm not about to say it's going to slip into the abyss because it still has so many aspects that are positive and so many people that support it. But it doesn't have enough money right now to compete with what we saw yesterday.
I think it needs to be private equity, Paul, and it's going to be uncomfortable. You've seen Utah already get in line with this. It is uncomfortable, but I think if the goal is to have the most money, to have the most resources, I think the only way to get there is by looking at things in a little bit of a different way. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily easy. But if it becomes a battle of the billionaires, Alabama will lose. So how can you create a level playing field against those that can clearly outspend?
Well, one thing I'm convinced of, Alabama will not lose on an equal playing field. We know that because the school has everything going for it. But it will lose under the current structure. And I ran into a fat cat over the weekend, and he was saying, well, what are we going to do? And I said, well, do you feel like digging deeper into your pockets? And you get a blank stare. Because as well-heeled as Alabama is, and I know this is a broken record here, there is not that one or two or three individuals who can do more than the Mark Cubans of the world or the Larry Ellisons or the Brinks truck of billionaires that Texas has, and it's suddenly become a big problem. And it's not only Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer's record is not the reason why Alabama is losing these players. It's just the inability to have a better infrastructure, and some of it's geography, and some of it's just happenstance. And everybody knows what Nick Saban was able to get away with, but nobody was going to be able to get away with this, whether it's Kalen DeBoer or Kirk Cignetti or Dan Lanning or anybody else.
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily matters. But the other side of the argument, Paul, is do you really want the high-priced guy? Or are you better served going and getting the guys that are maybe hungry and angry and chip on the shoulder and all this other stuff? Are you better served going that route and maybe finding the guy that is a bit of a diamond in the rough, like Indiana has scattered throughout their roster, that will collectively come together? It could actually work in favor of Alabama because we have yet to see an all-star team just run roughshod through everybody, because while Ohio State was that, they did not all come together and play as one until they had the disappointment of the Michigan performance last year.
No, you're right. The question is that takes a little bit of patience. Can it be done again? And ultimately, is Kalen DeBoer capable of doing that under the current structure? He might be if you say, okay, Kalen, you got about 3 years to build your roster, but right now he doesn't have that. Every game he coaches from now on is going to be a pressurized situation.
Paul, always great to have you. Thank you so much for the time. Look forward to doing it again next week.
Thanks, guys.
Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline with us every Monday, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. So a lot to unpack there. As you know, there are multiple topics we had. We'll start that process next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. Still a lot to get to today. Going to go back and move into Oregon and then roll into what this national championship game may look like. If you're looking to move out of your home into a new home, though, Greg, who should you call?
Every company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home, and your whole home packed up and move your company headquarters into cross country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. They got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's CrockerMovingServices.com. That's CrockerMovingServices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Service for your next move.
All right, so Indiana, impressive in that win against Oregon. Let's start with a couple of these accusations that folks are now throwing around. The cheating accusation that folks wanted to get going on social media really during this game, Greg, is there anything that you watch, anything that you see that would lead you to believe that any portion of this is real for Kurt Cignetti's team?
No.
I'm with you. I don't look at it and believe that. I don't look at it and think that, but there are a lot of people that do. Saber, anything for you that you look at? Like, when you saw these people start running with this mindset over the weekend, was it something that you thought, oh, yeah, I could see that? That seems real.
No, but there's got to be something somewhere, a hint of a kernel of truth to where people are willing to believe that.
Oh, no, there's I think it's convenient for people to believe. Therefore,
right. I don't think that they are cheating, but it's conceivable to think that, okay, maybe something happened to a headset or something. It can happen. Therefore, okay, yeah, it's possible. It's more of a people are more likely or wanting to believe that instead of Indiana actually being good, this one thing, this 1% of 1% of 1% possibly could happen. Oh, yeah, that's it. As opposed to guys putting in hard work and grit and grinding and doing all that. That's more believable. Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. Where do we go with and if you want to chime in on that, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. The age situation in which folks are now saying, Greg, well, the average age is 23 years old. They're an older football team. They should be doing this. Let's not pretend like Indiana's team is not a bunch of grown men.
Is that illegal?
Well, not only is it not illegal, but I also haven't heard anybody say, I'd rather have 21, 22-year-old 3 stars than 18-year-old 5 stars. Because normally that discussion goes the opposite direction.
Yep.
Everybody wants all the 5 stars. Don't care how old they are. These kids are more ready than ever. Let's bring them in.
Oh, yeah.
You won't be able to compete, can't cover the whole deal.
No, because you need 5 stars. Because the recruiting services are the ones that know.
They know everything, right?
They know it all.
Which is it? Because last year Ryan Williams was 17 and he was taking the world by storm.
Yeah.
So you want really, really young or really, like, is that it? Like, which is it?
I'm not sure, but this is what the people were saying over the weekend, and I was actually surprised by it that this is one of the team that's now has to be cheating because they're so good. Number 2, because they're older, I guess they're saying it's not fair, and you can't do that anymore.
Oh, because college football is the only place where life is fair. Okay, that's good to know.
But which? Let me ask you this: which teams that are pretty good are really young?
Oregon.
Younger.
Pretty young, relatively.
Might not be anymore because they got a lot of freshmen and redshirt freshmen hitting the portal. But
Well,
Ohio State, a young team.
not particularly.
Georgia, a young team.
Young by their standards, yes.
Texas Tech, a young team.
No.
Ole Miss, a young team.
No.
A&M, a young team.
No.
Oklahoma, a young team.
No.
Bama, a young team.
Not last year.
Miami, a young team.
No.
Notre Dame, a young team.
Relatively, yes.
I'm
Not compared to the team they had the year before.
I'm going to skip BYU.
Let me just
Texas, a young
just so
team?
everybody knows, BYU not young.
I feel like they've been old for a while.
Yeah,
They're older than old.
been old.
Texas, young team.
Little bit, not really.
Vandy, young team.
No.
Utah, young team.
Nope.
So
See BYU.
that's our top 15 we just ran through there. It's like this is a new thing. Like, I mean, I had Houston in the bowl game. I can tell you this. There's not 15 or 20 true freshmen playing. This guy's been playing a ton of college football. It's one of the reasons they're good. Georgia Tech, a young team. Iowa, a young team. Tulane, a young team. Arizona, a young team. The answer is no to all of them. There are benefits to going taking guys that might not be highly rated that have played 1,200, 900, 2,000 snaps of college football. Even if it's at the G4, even if it's at D3, they've played. And that's easier to coach. That's easier to have understand things. That's easier to build continuity with because they've already done it. Now, I will still say this, Greg. The most impressive part about what Kurt Cignetti is doing, and talking to Bryant Haynes after the game, his D coordinator, it's who they're getting and how they consistently get the guys that think the same way. How they get the guys that want to go do it for the team. Like, I mean, you dropped the greatest quote that I've heard from Bryant Haynes from maybe I've heard from any coach in a long time. And I asked him about it after the game, and he said that's Coach Cignetti's process. That's who we go after. We don't want you if you're not that guy. When I asked him about it post game, he said, if you got 7 hats out there and you're throwing one to the side and putting one on and tossing that, he's like, you're just not for us. No. You're not. You're not our guy. And that was that he told you, our guys want to win more than they want to get drafted.
Correct.
That is very difficult to find. But it feels like they have found like 50 of those guys.
Yeah. And that's all you need to win. Like, I think people look back. If you look back at our national championship team in 2009, yeah, there were some stars for sure. There's some stars. Few stars, no doubt about it. But Kareem Jackson had 2 stars before he got an Alabama offer, and then magically he became a 4-star. Javier Arenas had 2 stars, and they got an Alabama offer, became a 3-star. Drew Davis, our right tackle from Evergreen, Alabama, like 2-star, 3-star guy. William Vallejos from Mountain Brook, Alabama, 3-star guy, chip on the shoulder, big time. Darius Hanks, 3-star guy. Marquise Mays, 4-star guy. But remember, these are guys that got Bama offers because they got stars because they got an Alabama offer. People forget that. Like, you get the Alabama offer, you get the stars. That's the way it went. That's the way it continues to go. People don't think about that, but it's the realities. And like all the recruiting services, they just ask who's offered you. Oh, you have Ohio State, Bama, Georgia. Okay, you're a 4-star at minimum. And then we'll see you on the hoof, and then you could become a 5-star if we see you in camp. Like, it's kind of amazing how that all works. It all based on what offers you have. If you have offers from SMU, TCU, and Houston, you're a 3-star. If you have offers from G5 schools, you might be a 2-star at minimum with the possibility of getting up to 3-star. Like, that's the way it all works. But I think when you look at Indiana, they have guys that will intentionally take themselves out of a play if it means freeing up their teammate.
For the greater good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they tell a receiver to run 1,000 miles an hour through the safety to open up that crease route, he's going to run 1,000 miles an hour through the safety to open up that crease route. If he has a defensive tackle to go make a pick on the right tackle and allow the defensive end to swim underneath and get a sack fumble, he's going to do it every single time. Meanwhile, you see teams like A&M, the D tackles like doing this unbelievable spin move. It's like, whoa, that is a flash play if I've ever seen. And guess what? He just spun his way out of the hole, and here comes Mark Fletcher for a 46-yard gain.
He's 2 gaps the wrong direction.
You see guys at places with more talent. Yeah, A&M has more talent than Indiana. It's like a fascinating thought process.
All right, so a couple of you on hold. Stay there. We'll get to you as soon as we come back on the Higginbotham Hotline, 800-239-9569, talking to Indiana and what they're doing, not doing, what should we call that next on Jocks. 7:52 right here on Jocks. Let's go to the Higginbotham hotline, 800-239-9569. Continue talking Indiana to chime in on Indiana and college football.
Morning.
Welcome in, dog. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, man, I'm so glad you brought up this age thing, man, because I've been screaming this since Carson Beck decided to come back for Georgia a couple of years back. And Raiola when he decommitted, and I would just tell people, man, an experienced quarterback on the road to Alabama is so much more valuable. But I thought Carson Beck, I'm one of these Carson Beck believers, think he's an absolute awesome quarterback for what he had to deal with. But kudos to Nick for thinking outside the box and doing what he's doing. The problem is now follow suit and also think outside the box, and it's no longer thinking outside the box. You start adopting this same type of.
Well, here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that, dog. It's like anything else that we talk about. Pushing the ball downfield, running zone read, running RPOs, being a team that likes to run the football. You either got to live that life or you don't. If you're going to do it like Signetti does, you better be all in, because you can't – I don't think you can cherry pick this way. Like, you can't go say, we're going to get the old veteran quarterback but still go after all the five-star high school kids. Like, that's not going to work either. Like, you got to go all in on hard hat, lunch pail, do your job, don't care, physicality, just win for the team. I'm telling you, talking to these Indiana kids before and after the game on the field, I think they're all in on that, all of them.
Yep. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, dog. Answer me this. You start bringing in a bunch of recruits from Texas State, Western Kentucky, James Madison, Kent State, Maryland is your most high-profile defensive addition last year in the portal, and you would lose your flipping mind. You would. Because you're a fan of Georgia. You look at it and say, hang on a second, we can't win in the SEC with guys like that. No chance. But guess what?
Look at Auburn fans right now.
Right now, Indiana last year had the 25th ranked portal class. You know who had number 1? LSU. What was LSU's record? Oh, I don't know. They get above 500? Like, to me, it's unbelievable to me that, teams are going to go and try to copy Indiana specifically, but a lot of fans of teams in the SEC are going to say, oh, God, why are we taking – we need Keon Keeley back. He had 5 stars. What? Like, what are we doing?
I agree. I do agree with that, because I have been one that has really focused on recruiting for a long time. I used to take that day off when signing day would – when we just had one signing day, my buddies and I would take that day off, order pizza, and just track players.
Yep.
That's how into it I was. But I do agree with you. Those days, I told Saber this right here, and I'm going to hang up and listen. Every quarterback, and I will throw Mendoza in there, he wasn't outside of Dante Moore, was a super senior that played the other night. So there's something to be said about that. Great show, guys.
I definitely think there's some accuracy to it. I just don't think it's the